Hi there, my name is Tatiana and you're watching YouTube channel You Can. Today is June 22, 2023. It's raining here in central Pennsylvania. Yay, we need the rain. But today's video is about an herb or a weed, whatever you'd like to call it, called the prostrate knotweed. So I'm in my raised bed, and if you take a peek in here, it's either a blessing or a curse. Depends on how you look at the situation. So I have garlic, and in between the garlic I have weeds. No, I have herbs. This plant is very medicinal and I protect it until it's ready to harvest. So among all the other things that grow here, this is the prostrate knotweed, and this is how it looks. There's a lot of information online where this prostrate knotweed gets confused with Chinese knotweed or another weed called kiss me over the garden gate or water pepper. Prostrate knotweed is not related to either one of those, and the Latin name for it is Polygonum aviculare. Prostrate knotweed can grow to enormous sizes, and one plant, meaning one root and branching out, can cover a massive amount of area. So I want to show you here. I have one plant right here by my garlic, and it looks like it's just one little scraggly stem. I will carefully pull it up so that I get the root, and you can see just how huge this thing is. You can also see the little tiny white flowers on the tips. So when this herb is flowering, that is the prime time to collect it for medicinal purposes. If you do collect it before it is flowering, it is still beneficial, it is still medicinal, but it is considered to have the most potent and the most medicinal value when it is actually in bloom. So in Europe, traditionally, prostrate knotweed is used as a kidney tonic and as an herb that is a go-to for breaking up kidney stones. Even though it is most widely known for its kidney toning properties, it is also a heart tonic and a lung tonic. Believe it or not, this pesky weed or wonderful herb helps tone the lung tissue. It's also an expectorant, meaning it helps slough off mucus that may be stuck on the alveoli, basically chronic coughs that don't seem to go away. This stuff can help loosen up the mucus that is basically adhered to the alveoli and get it out of your system. The roots of this plant are used to help with bleeding gums. The rest of the herb can be used for that as well, but the roots have the most of the beneficial elements that are good for fighting bacteria, bad bacteria in the mouth. So ideally, the best time to pick any kind of herbs is in the morning after the dew has mostly dried off, but before noon. So roughly 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock is the best time to pick. We've had a lot of dry days, and I've been very busy. So today, even though it is way past 10 o'clock, it's raining, and the sun hasn't really been shining directly on this, so it's okay to pick it a little bit later. The problem with picking herbs later on in the day is that they become fatigued by the heat, and a lot of the volatile substances actually kind of evaporate during the day and then get reconcentrated at night. So that's why it's best to pick herbs on a clear sunny day before noon, but also if you have to, you can still pick them anytime. They're still going to be medicinal, but just not as potent. Alrighty, now that I've picked this massive amount of herb, I want to show you folks how I quickly get it ready for the dehydrator. So first of all, I'm going to save the roots because they have a separate medicinal value from the rest of the plant. So I will use my hose on a jet and basically wash off all the dirt from the roots right here into my garden bed. Clear my workstation. Believe it or not, this is a bench from our sauna that we used in the winter. It comes in very handy for stuff like that because it's tall. So let's take a look at this. So my goal is to get all of this soil off of the root before I bring it into the house. I don't want this dirt in my house. So I'm just going to go over it with my hands a little bit. And as you can see, once I wash it off with water, the root is beautiful and white. These little specks of brown, that's not dirt, that's just the coloration of the, like a pinkish brown, that's the coloration of the root. So that's what I'm going to do with all the roots here. And once I do that, I'm just going to take my shears and I'm going to cut them off, and these will be dried separately and stored separately. So as you have seen, the growth habitat of prostrate knotweed is to sprawl on the ground. So depending on whether there's wood chips or straw maybe, or maybe it's directly on the ground, there will be more or less dirt on the herb itself. So I always want to make sure that I rinse it out really well, and I like to use this method because it gives me a way to rinse the herb really well. So once I've rinsed it, I shake it off. And this is why I like to do this outside, because you can't really do this in the house unless you want the walls and the floor and the ceiling to be blasted with water sprays. Anyway, so then I go through and I just make sure that there are no yellow leaves. Like for example, this one's not too bad. I mean, technically, if you buy herbs anywhere in bulk in the store, they cut all of this stuff up and you drink it and you don't even know that you've, consumed tea from a leaf that looks kind of goofy. I like to remove those because I just do. Anyway, so I look through it and make sure that there's no dry, dead, or boogied up leaves by bugs. And then I take my shears, and the stem and the leaves and the flowers all have the same type of medicinal properties. So I'm going to use the entire plant, aside from the root, which I am drying separately. But I just go and I use my shears to cut it into small pieces like that. They are easy to fit into a jar once they have dried. If you dry the whole herb like this, which you could technically do, it's really hard to stick into a jar, and then you have to cut it when it's dry, so you lose a lot of dry leaves because they fly everywhere when you cut them when it's dry. So I've come to this kind of conclusion that it's better to cut this herb while it's still fresh, before it goes into the dryer to dry. Now, having said that, I'm using everything. Like if you take a look at this stem, it's very big and thick. I will toss it because it's going to take a lot longer for it to dry than the rest of the plant. So I don't want to be over drying the thinner, smaller parts just because this is still damp. So I'll just toss this right back into my garden, and I will fill this tray up. And folks, just like with any other herbs, the use of herbs for medicine has only been around for a couple hundred centuries, and allopathic medicine has been around forever. So before you use herbs for medicinal purposes, make sure you ask your allopathic doctor whether or not you should use them, because I'm sure that modern day medicine will be able to give you all the answers. Now folks, with herbs, I know there's a lot of online presence where people say, oh, toxic herbs. Yes, there are definitely herbs that are toxic. There are definitely herbs that you shouldn't drink. They're outright directly poisonous. But with the majority of herbs, like for example prostrate knotweed, you can drink it prophylactically every day. and you won't overdose on it. It will not cause any bad effects on your body. You can't overdose. I mean, in order to overdose an herb to the point where your body goes into some kind of toxic shock, you would have to probably eat a bale. Like, I'm talking one of those huge round bales of hay, but of prostrate knotweed. You'd probably have to eat it within a span of like 2 hours for it to have some kind of toxic effect on your body. So don't wait till you have, let's say, kidney issues. Don't wait till you do have lung problems. If you know that, whatever the bug season is coming around, that typically does in the winter, just throw some of the prostrate knotweed into your tea and use it, drink it prophylactically to help your body stay on top of whatever it is that's going around. Same thing with like kidney tonic. If you are getting up at night 2, 3, 4, 5 times to pee and you're not pregnant, that is an indication that there is an issue with the kidney system. So it might be a good idea to just add the prostrate knotweed into your daily life for 2 weeks or so and see if it makes a difference. Again, I'm not telling you this in substitute for professional doctor's advice, but just as a thought. So folks, I'm going to be selling this dry herb on our website. You can see the link below, kinsdomain.com. But you can, if you're interested in purchasing dry herb, you're welcome to go there, and I will have it available here soon. But you can also find this. It likes to grow in gravel. It likes to grow in like rocky types of soil. It's easy to find in state parks, anywhere where there's lots of sun and gravel. That's what it likes, gravel and sun. It does grow in my garden because I don't rip it out of here. And in the gravel, if you find it somewhere out in asphalt or gravel, it definitely does not grow as lush and as big. It's the leaves are a lot more smaller, and the branches are a lot more knobby. Basically, the space between the knots is a lot closer. So as I was digging through my books to find more information about prostrate knotweed, I came across information that it is actually like edible in the sense of food. Like, you can use this in like soups and stir fries. I've never done that, so I'm going to give that a whirl and see what happens. I'm curious to see how it will taste cooked, because raw, it tastes like grass. No, it has a little bit of a almost like a slimy type of a texture once you chew it. If you've ever eaten flaxseed meal or made a flaxseed egg, where you put a tablespoon of ground flaxseed into 3 to 4 tablespoons of boiling water and let it sit for a while and then eat that, it has this slimy-ish kind of texture. Well, this has the taste and the texture very similar to flaxseed. So I'm assuming it would probably taste really good cooked as well. Also, since this is a kidney tonic, basically it helps tone the kidney function. So any kidney related issues like edema, blood pressure where the bottom number is high, kidney stones, water retention of any kind, this is a good herb to try and see if it will benefit you. I know a lot of people who have basically, I will say it, cured their kidney ailments with prostrate knotweed. But a little bit more on that just in a couple minutes. So how to use and how much to use of prostrate knotweed. If you are using this herb for prophylactic purposes, meaning you are in good health. You would just like to maybe give your kidneys, heart, and lungs a little boost of support and love and care, then 2 to 3 tablespoons of fresh herb, or 1 to 2 tablespoons of dry herb to 1.5 cups of water, drank maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times a week is enough. Now, if you already have a condition that you would like to maybe resolve by using this herb, you will need to make that concentration a lot more potent and more intense, because that amount of herb will not get you out of, let's say if you have edema, it will not help your body get out of that state of disease. So you would probably need close to 1/4 cup of dry herb or 1/2 cup of fresh herb to 2 cups of water, and you would steep that for 20 to 30 minutes, and you would have to drink that 3 to 4 times a day, spread out through the day, like in the morning before breakfast, then before lunch, then close to your evening meal, and before you go to bed at night. So the way I do this is I have this cup that has this strainer thing. Basically, you can use anything. You can use a thermos, you can use a regular teacup, you can use a glass mason jar. It doesn't matter what you have. And you will, if you're using dry herb, you want to cut it up too, because at all the places where the herb is snipped, it basically has the ability to give off its nutrients into the water. If you don't have time, just stuffing the entire plant like this into your cup will also work. It's not a big deal, but I like to snip it up like this. And basically with herbs, you don't have to have an exact measurement of the herb. A little more, a little less, no big deal. So I roughly have maybe 2 tablespoons or so of it here. Some of it flew out, so I'm just going to throw it back in. And I have boiling water, and I'll just pour it in. And I will cover it. It is important to cover your container so that the water doesn't cool off fast. And let it sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. All right, so after 20 minutes, that's the minimum amount of time for an herb to steep. You can leave it in for 2 hours, up to 2 hours. What I will do is I will take this cup, which comes in very, very handy because the herb stays in there, or you can use like a regular tea strainer. But I want to pour the tea into this glass for you folks to see the color. Almost completely transparent clear. It has a little bit of just a very, very slight tint. The longer you leave it to steep, the darker the color will be. Also, the color of the tea will be a little bit more yellow if you are making tea out of dry herb. So the tea is brewed, and the taste is very mild. It's almost like a lighter version of the taste of the herb if you eat the herb itself. Kind of a nutty, flaxseedy type of very, very mild flavor. It's absolutely delicious. You can mix it with other herbs like mint or chamomile or black raspberry tops or red raspberry leaves. It will work as a good platform or good base for any other more flavorful herbs. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. If you liked the video, hit a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.